Hey guys, this is Mike Battolino here, co-host of the Strong Tongue podcast. Just want to take a second to talk to you about Lurong Living Essential. Lurong Living Essential is the only drug-free deer antler product in the world. And now you can get 30% off Lurong Living Essential using code StartingStrongman. Just a little bit of background. I've been using this product for about 4 years to help my recovery, my joints, and my ligaments. It is fantastic. I found out about it actually at the MHP Clydesdale games back in 2013, and one of the other competitors was sporting some of their gear. I've been taking it since then. Definitely helps my recovery. Can't recommend it enough. So if you go to lurongliving.com, and we'll put a link at the bottom of this, you can use code StartingStrongman to save 30% on Lurong Living Essential.
Awesome. And this show is also brought to you by Kabuki Strength. If you go to kabukistrength.com, use the code SS10, you save 10% off all of their products. I think Mike's a big fan of them. Between the Shoulder Rock, the Duffalo bar, they got some new bars coming out, and even just a whiskey and deadlift shirt. What's your favorite Kabuki product, Mike?
Probably the boomstick or the pain pill.
Yeah, they got those, help you out with your recovery. And again, that's kabukistrength.com. Just no slash, just use the code SS10 at checkout to save 10%. This show is also brought to you by Starting Strongman. You can go to store.startingstrongman.com for all of your training needs. You can sign up for training templates. Proven programming for the sport of strongman delivered right to your phone for $15 a month. Right on an app, you get it right there. 4-week template. You just need basic, mild experience and access to common strongman events. And if you can go to strongmanprogram.com to sign up for that. And if you use the code StrongTalk, you'll save $5 a month, making it only $10 a month. I mean, it doesn't get much better of a deal than that. And of course, you can sign up for personalized coaching with myself, Mike, or our other, qualified coaches on staff. You can just fill out the inquiry, the intake form at strongmancoach.com, and we'll help you prepare for your next contest. I feel like if you're just training and you want some general training, the templates work pretty good for that. But if you have a specific contest coming up, you definitely want to jump on the one-on-one training is what I'd recommend. And, thanks for listening, and here's your show. Welcome to another episode of the Strong Talk podcast. I am Kalle Beck, joined by my co-host, Michael Battolino, and our guest for the week, Dave Daly. Not sure who the fuck he is, but it's just I want to start there. Dave, of course, won the Mid-Atlantic Strongman Challenge in the pro heavyweight class last weekend. I was there. It was fun to see. It was a very competitive contest. But let's start there. There's the hashtag, who is Dave Daly? What's the story behind everyone wondering or not knowing who you are?
Well, it was actually pretty funny. I was 2013 Nationals. We were down in Denison, Texas.
Lovely city.
I think I was sitting in second place at the time, going into the last event, and forgot who it was, but whoever was in third place, they were just reading the score sheet down, and they were looking at the names like, who the fuck is Dave Daly? And I'm like right behind them. Oh, that's me.
Yeah, it's always funny because you go and we kind of get used to the certain names. There's this person, that person. Oh, I got to worry about whoever at every level, especially at nationals. And I tell people every year there's gonna be someone that no one's heard about. That is just there. Yeah,
yep.
I guess.
Yeah, because I know.
Yeah.
Because the year before that, I think I only took 10th place. That was when we were in Tunica, and I took 10th place, and then obviously that got me going to push farther. So
yeah, but the 10th place didn't leave enough of an impression, I guess.
Yeah.
So you just have to keep going, keep winning, and eventually, maybe someday people know. We'll know. Let's hope.
I like it better this way. It keeps me motivated.
So I want to go back kind of, to the beginning to start it off. That's kind of how I like to do it. You're you're a fairly tall guy. From what I understand, you're kind of heavy, and you're like, I want to drop some weight classes just to get lean. What are you like 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'5".
Yeah. So like a real 6'5". So when you get your pro card, you'll be like 6'7", because that's how it works. Like when you get your heavyweight.
I mean, you have to. Yeah, you have to add inches and pounds onto your total weight height.
That's how it goes. So how did you find the sport, and were you competing as a heavyweight first and then decided to cut down, or how did that all go about?
Yeah, I was just in the gym kind of lifting, doing my own thing, and then I noticed I was putting on, quite a bit of strength pretty easily. Like, I never played any sports or anything through high school. So I'm in the gym, and one of my friends, I was talking to them, and I mentioned, I was like, oh, I'd like to do something like maybe bodybuilding or powerlifting or strongman. And then they looked and they said to me, they're like, strongman? Those guys train their whole lives for that. You could never do that. And then after that, I was like, oh, really? So that lit the fire to actually get into the sport and at least give it a try.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first comp was, I think it was 5 or 6 weeks after I started training, and it was in 2010, and I did the 265 class.
Okay, yeah, so 265 was your first one, and then from there you decided to cut down to 231 eventually?
Yeah, I was actually there for a few years, probably like 2 years. I did 265, and then I did maybe 3 or 4 shows at that weight, and then I hurt my back, and I kind of took some time off, and I kind of figured, I'm like, well, I might as well lose weight while I can't really lift heavy. Mm-hmm. So I cut down to 231, and that was like the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, I feel like it worked out well. When this was around 2014 maybe?
2012 was in like March, I think, was the first show I showed up as a 231.
Okay. And then when you actually started like pushing for like a pro card was what, 2013, 14?
2004. Yeah, 2014. I think it was July is when I won the Utah Strongest Man for the pro card.
Yeah, and then so you won that. You got your pro card. You show up, kind of. I think again surprise people. It seems like every time you go up and win a show, you surprise people, but you keep doing it.
Oh yeah. Like Chris Burke was there. I mean, like we had good competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like no one was there.
Country.
Yeah, and then what was a couple weeks after that, you went to Indiana, right?
Yep. Yeah, without it, he's not really training for it too bad, just because it was only a few weeks after I won the pro card.
Yeah, and that was basically like an Aaron Mullen show. Was that
at a time America's Strongest Man?
Mm-hmm. And Zach McCarley was competing at the time, and this is what I think the first time I interviewed you on the old podcast, the American Strongman Radio. Was because you won that, or it might have been after the pro card, or both. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was. You did right after the pro card, and then you did another one after I won the Mid America Strongest.
Yeah, just can't get enough Dave Daly, and here we are 3 years later.
Yeah, no one still knows who I am.
Well, you were the first. You were the first one to beat Zach in how many years?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, he was.
Well, as a lightweight anyway. They're middleweight now.
Yeah, he was so dominant at that time, and that's why it was real shocking, because you're a couple weeks off your pro card, and you show up and it's like I think Zach had won Zach McCarley, of course, past guest, had won 3-4 America's Strongest Mans in a row at that point, or something crazy.
Yeah, plus like I'm coming off of winning I think he just did heavyweight, because they combined the pros in the 2013 Nationals. They combined the lightweight pros and the heavyweight amateurs, and I think he took second to Casey Garrison that year too, and then overall.
Yeah,
so
that's
he
insane.
Was tearing it up.
So from there, well, let's see what's happened since. You've I think you did you did like the America's Strongest Man, I believe, that year in Vegas.
Yep. Yep.
That was a tough contest. That I was there. That was I think Sean finally won, right?
Yeah, it kind of sucks. I made one little mistake that I dropped the farmers maybe about an inch or so short of the finish line, and I turned around to grab the duck walk, and they made me run back and fix the farmers, and I had to run back and grab the duck walk. If I would have finished on the time that I was at, I would have won that event. I think I would have won the overall if I didn't screw that up.
Yeah,
but you can't make those kinds of mistakes.
That's how close it always is, man. Yeah, it's a thing that people don't realize is that in the conversation I just had with Lynn, it reminded me of a similar mistake I had with Lynn Morehouse in Denison and nationals, and it's the difference between first and fifth. Those little things all the time.
Oh yeah, big time.
So, but yeah, even this past nationals, I won the super heavyweights, but I didn't win the overall. But then I looked back at the score sheet, and if I would have walked the Husafeld 10 more feet, I would have got the overall. Yeah, literally what with how like 2 steps with how long your limbs are, like 2-3 steps.
Pretty much.
A little bit more heave when you let it go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that America's Strongest Man under 105 kilo was like, it was a 2 or 3 part medley, and there was not a lot of space, and it was hectic to say the least.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of room to move inside there.
Yeah, but it was a fun time. So, you've done, and then from there you kind of decided you're like, okay, you're big. I want to go back to heavyweight and pursue that heavyweight card. You've competed at pretty much, every nationals and Arnold since, and you're always right there on the podium or, top couple at pretty much all of them. So, in various weight classes, and this is a question that, Kevin Cronin brought up when I said you're coming on, was like, how many different weight classes have you had a podium finish at nationals?
So 2013, I took second to Rob Kearney at the 231 class. And then in 2014, I won the 265 class. I think Martins, Lisa's took second, McCarley took third. Then 15, I took second to 300s to Ethan Farhas. And then last year I won the super heavyweights.
Yeah. So yeah, that's incredible. You pretty much every single one. I think the only thing I find like more odd than that is that is Zach Hodge has won, or he's competed at like every single weight class the Arnold offers other than the women's side. At this point, like he did the lightweight at 185, he did 231, he did the heavyweight and the pro. Like I think that,
wow.
That's the kind of stuff right there that's is just, I don't even know how anyone does that. So what is you're getting right there, almost getting that pro card. I feel like at the Arnold's you're always 11th, it seems.
It's just always right there. The problem is for me, it's I really feel like sometimes the Arnold are I just get kind of a bad luck of the draw. Like this past year, my pressing is my worst event, and there was 2 pressing on day 1 out of 4 events. So,
right.
If I would have got to day 2, it would be a little bit different because those are really good events for me. But it's just kind of the luck of the draw at some point.
Yeah, the Arnold's tough with that cutoff, and that that there's so many people, and that you're only doing 4 events to get there. You have.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of times even people make day 2 and then they bomb both of those events because they happen to be their bad events. So like it is a lot of the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
So
the one thing I would change though, like with the Arnold though, there's just, the only thing I'm not a fan of is like there's just no room like for warm ups for, like you can sit in the bleachers, but there's no room to stretch, to put your stuff, to warm up. Obviously, you're limited to what you got because you're at a convention center, but it's just it's kind of tough when you have to lift those kind of weights with little to no warm ups.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that was the nicest part I saw about the show this past weekend.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they had a whole other warm up area, which frankly, I don't think I've ever seen at a strongman contest.
Not that. It was the size of most contest fields or bigger. It was the warm up area.
Yeah, and it was at a convention center, so I'm sure he must have fought for it or changed the strategy about it. So, going after you've obviously been pursuing a heavyweight pro card, and all those things. Then you see this show come up, and it's pretty much like, hey, you can compete as a heavyweight or an open weight as long as you have a Strongman Corporation pro card. What went through? You saw that and you just jumped at it, or?
Well, you know what? I didn't even see it at first. Tom, I can't pronounce the last name. Starts with an M. He's from
Mutafis.
Yeah. So he's the one. He kind of like threw it out there. He's like, "Hey, Dave, these are really good events for you." And I checked them out, and I'm like, "Yeah, they actually are pretty good events for me." So,
Sure.
I contacted Lynn and I told him, like, because he mentioned that he might actually have some kind of a cutoff if they get enough lightweight pros and heavyweight pros that they were going to separate them. And so I messaged him. I was like, if we're going to do that, I'm not going to book a hotel and an airplane to come out there because there's no way I'm making 231. He's like, no, we're just going to do one open class and for top lightweight gets paid. I'm like, okay, that works then. So then I, just signed up and that was pretty much it. Kept training for it.
Yeah, and you didn't have too much time after the Arnold.
No, it was only a few weeks. I took, after the Arnold, I took a week after that to relax and then trained for a couple weeks. And then I actually went to Costa Rica for another week in between there, just on vacation, and then just finished off the rest of the training before I had to take my deload week for that.
Do you feel like having that little bit of extra rest actually helped?
Yeah, I think it's just nice to kind of get away from everything. I think going on vacation, I didn't have to think about training. I didn't have to actually train. I could just deload my mind of all things too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something that, Mike and I talk about is just like it's almost hard to have like an off season if you're going nationals, Arnold, whatever show in between to requalify.
Yep.
When would the last time you actually had like a significant break be? Like it'd be a while.
I think last year after the Arnold, just because I'm the state chair and I don't have to qualify, because I just get an automatic bid to nationals. So after the Arnold last year, I just reevaluated my training and just broke down, went real slow. I actually did a 5-3-1 program, just real basic stuff, just to do like building blocks before I got into like my own contest prep kind of a program for nationals last year.
So let's go into that. I do the same. I've done the same thing many times when I don't want to think about my training. I follow something very simple that you can have a easy progression on. So how do you, you have, amazing foot speed on the moving events, and I've seen you steadily improve over the years. So how do you structure like, let's say you're, 10 weeks out of a contest, you're actually doing like, starting to prepare, but not right out of it. How do you structure like a weekly training split?
I usually only do maybe like two events a week on the training days. What I'll put in first is the yoke, if there's a yoke involved, because then I'll drop the yoke. My last yoke will be 3 weeks before the contest, and then I do that every third week. I do the yoke because if I do it anymore, I get like really bad shin splints. And I only really train speed. I don't ever go heavy on the yoke. Any of the other moving events, really, I it all depends on what the event is, because I have a deadlift day separate. I have a pressing day separate. So if there's a dumbbell involved, I'll throw that on like the training day. But if it's like a log or axle, I have that stuff on on an actual pressing day.
Yeah, I feel like yoke, especially if you're getting into the upper 8,000-9,000 pounds, it's so taxing to do week in and week out on your nervous system. But In the dumbbell, it's almost more like skill practice than like a real press in a way.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, like I went heavy this time just because it was a max, but for the most part, it's just a technique thing. Technique is so much more important than actually training the dumbbell. So I'll do the dumbbell every other week or every third week just because there is no point. It's just a technique thing. You build your strength doing all your strict pressing on your pressing day.
Let's talk about your technique for a second. So,
Sure.
how often do people tell you, "Oh no, you can't do dumbbell well like that"? Like, because you do dumbbell differently than anyone, and I think it's pretty obvious after last weekend. It works out just fine.
Yeah, I get it's right down the middle. Like half the people just completely trash it and just say, like make fun of me for it, and then the other half of the people like think it's really cool and interesting and want to give it a shot. I think if you're too close-minded to try something new, like you'll never grow. I started doing that because I really sucked at pressing when I first started. Not saying I'm any better. I'm like, an excellent presser now, but I'm definitely a lot better than when I started. But I just never had time to try to relearn how to do the dumbbell, sitting on your shoulder the way everyone else does it. So I've just been sticking with that, and it seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, just describe the technique. Like, how did that actually come about? Because how it is you pretty much you rest it all the way up on your shoulder, so it's pointed vertically, and you keep your elbow, it seems like as high as you possibly can, and you just use some leg drive to do like a little wrist flick and like a tricep extension kind of deal to get under it.
Yeah. So what happened when I first started, I think I could only top out at maybe like a 150 dumbbell. This was like right when I first did my original weight cut into the 231s. So I tried doing it just sitting on your shoulder, and I couldn't find a comfortable spot for it because there was so much pressure on my elbow. So then I did like the side of the head thing, and then after that, it started working a little better. But then I realized but if I can get the dumbbell up higher, I don't have to use as much like energy to try to support it on my shoulder, and it's also sitting up higher on my shoulder. So I kept changing the angle until I got it to where I have it now, and it just, especially on a max type of event, it's just so perfect.
Yeah, because it for reps, it would take a little bit longer to set up.
Yeah, you know what? When it's lighter and I have to do reps with it, it's not a problem. But when we're doing 200, 220 for reps, like that's when, that extra time to switch it to my position kind of eats up a lot of time. But if we were doing like 180 for reps, like I can throw it up there really quickly and it doesn't eat up any time.
And you pray the dumbbells as short as possible. I'd imagine it's a little easier to get in that position.
Oh yeah. I'd say the Bardos has been the hardest dumbbell to press with for my style. I've done all the other ones, like the Slater bell is probably my favorite. It's kind of similar to shape to the Bardos, but it's a lot shorter. Mm-hmm. So I don't spend a lot of energy on the transition from the original clean to the pressing position.
Yeah,
I've never had a dumbbell that I couldn't do it that way with.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised when I saw you be able to do it the Bardos dumbbell, because I was like, because I follow what you do and your technique, and it was like, oh yeah, you got it. I was like, is it gonna work?
Yeah.
Because you kind of have to scout out what you're doing and all that. But yeah, it definitely worked, and you're able to put up 270, and.
Well, hit 260. I just missed 270.
Right.
But
yeah, it was close.
I was pretty close on the 270. I feel like if I were to get another shot at it, I might be able to stick it. But it's obviously that's not not allowed because of the rules. So
yeah, it definitely all worked out. So as far as the strict pressing, or you say you use the strict press to build it up, and the overhead's been the weakness, and I feel like a lot of people that contact me for coaching or whatever, that seems to be a common that people are pretty good at this or that, but then their pressing is not on par with their other events. So I know it's still a work in progress, but what have you found? I find it's good to talk to people that it doesn't come easy to with certain events, and they've improved them. So what have you found that's actually gotten your log press and overall pressing strength up?
So what I've noticed the best is barbell strict pressing, standing. That just seems to be the best because like I'll do a bunch of because it's like when I go to do the log strict press, I kind of like peak out. But then if I go to like a barbell cycle with strict pressing and I go back to the log, it just comes off my chest so much faster, and I'm able to like follow through with the power at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And also I found is that outside of just the strict pressing that I do, and this is for everything, is just the accessories to me are just so much more important than the actual lift, like the main lifts that we're doing. I feel like most of the main lifts have a lot to do with like a technique, but then like say like even like deadlifting or pressing. But when you start breaking down to what part of the thing are you failing, what part of the lift are you failing, and you start doing accessories for that, that's what's going to push you to the next level.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite accessories you use for pressing?
I don't know what I saw Big Z doing the Smith machine maybe like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. So I started kind of throwing that in there, like seated pressing on that. I do I kind of run through, like I do one overhead, one incline, and one flat, and then kind of like cycle those for my pressing. And then the flat, I kind of mostly just do stuff like floor pressing or close grip just for triceps. I don't flat bench too much, but on an off cycle program, I'd probably do that more. Incline really helps out a lot, especially if there's like a barbell that has to get pressed or like a log, because then you're mostly like leaning back anyway. You got to use that upper chest. Lots of triceps, and also when I do a lot of strict pressing, but then I try to transition into a like push press, like late at like the second half of the cycle for the contest. I've noticed that if I start the push press cycle too early, that I end up like peaking out way too soon. So what I've been doing is like holding off as long as I can to start adding my legs in, and it's been helping out quite a bit.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not saying it works for everybody, but it's just what I've been noticing lately.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and you're using the real Z press as we found. It's all my fault.
Yeah, right.
Or Derek Poundstone or Travis Ordemeyer, who actually said it in the first place, but I'll take the blame.
Yeah, you'll have to take the heat on this one.
I'll have to take it. So going into this past weekend, you get to North Carolina. I'd agree. Tom Mutafa said it, and I looked at the events. I'm talking to, I was talking to Robert Oberst, about what shows he wants to do next, and I was already planning on coming out here, and I'm like, it looks good. And then we start talking, and he's like, who do you think, out of all these guys, or what would be my main competition there? And I said, I don't think a lot of people would pick it, but I'm like, I think it's Dave. Looking at the events, looking at how your trainings went, knowing a bit about you, I was like, that's who you got to look out for. And hey, I guess I should have said it publicly first because it was true. But
right,
you get
and
out
then
there.
Rob's like, who?
Oh, Dave, Daly? Who's that? You mean Davis Daly?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much, not too far off, but
yeah,
that's how it went, and and I was just like, I'm like, just I'm looking at it, and like obviously I think it could get overlooked because for you've been right there, but don't have that heavyweight pro card, but you're not the typical 231 that's competing as a heavyweight where they're still naturally like a 231. You're a heavyweight. You've been eating.
Yeah. I've always had to do huge cuts to do 231. It's just I feel so much better not having a cut for shows now.
I bet.
How much did you cut? What was the most you'd ever cut? Was it like 35 pounds? I think I remember reading you said that, or maybe it was more.
Yeah, well, depending on how much time I had, I've done like a full cut. I think it was like 35, 40 pounds, but like short time, like 10 days, I think was 30 pounds. And for America's Strongest Man, the one year I had to cut in 2014, I think it was, she told us we could do early weigh-ins, and we had like 6 hours, and then so I cut 17 pounds for that.
Fun times.
But that was the last time I tried to cut because my kidneys were hurting after that cut.
Yeah, never again for that.
No.
And plus, I feel like you still have some room to fill out, which I think will end up helping out your press even more.
Big time.
So what are you at right now? A little over 3?
Yeah, 305, right around.
Do you have a goal as far as that?
I really just want to get, like, I'm not even focused on, like, I used to focus on, like, body weight, like, thinking it matters. But, you know, you look at all these guys that are sitting at, like, 300, 310, 315, going to Worlds and just, like, dominating. I mean, obviously you got Shaw. It's, like, 450 or whatever he is now.
Or more, who knows?
But all these new guys coming in that are sitting, like, you know, 320, like, I mean, I feel like as long as I could just keep getting stronger, I'm not going to worry about the body weight too much anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also see a lot of guys that, were 400 plus, going back down and looking better as well. Like, Z, Obi, etc. Just because, feel a little healthier.
Sure. I mean, move a little quicker. You don't get out of breath walking upstairs.
Maybe you might lose a couple pounds on your, max squat or overhead press, but the other 22 hours of your day probably feel a whole lot better.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if you can pick up those points on moving events, I mean, what's the difference then?
Sure. So let's go into the day. You see, you show up, you check in, everyone's there, you do your rules meeting. Let's I could tell you how it went. I was there, but let's hear it from how were you feeling going into it, and how it went, event by event.
I felt really confident going in. I knew that these are a really good set of events, and I knew not saying I know, but like, if I were to give my all, there's no way I wasn't going to podium. I mean, they were just 2 good events for me, and I was just coming in really good shape. So unless for something happened, then I knew I was going to at least podium. I was just getting ready. The first event, we had the dumbbell. We were working our way up. We were doing 20-pound jumps at first, and then when we hit 250, we started doing 10-pound jumps. Man, everyone was I think we had a big drop off around 220. And then it was myself, Oberst, Clayton, and Claiborne, and we all kept going. We hit the 220, then we hit the 240, 250, 260, and then that's when Obi and I dropped out. We couldn't hit the 270. Claiborne and Clayton hit the 270, and then I think they both missed the 280.
Yeah, I think Claiborne. Yeah, they both did miss it. Yeah, so that's a good start right there. You tie for second, and then 2 tie for first. So you're right in there, and then you have Yoke next, which you're pretty confident. Yeah,
I knew it was, and as soon as I saw I was going against Oberst, I was really excited because I knew it was going to be a real fast one.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, oh yeah, it was a blast. I honestly think if I didn't go against him, I might have won the Yoke just because when I was going, I mean, the first 2 felt like so smooth. And then as soon as I turned into the Yoke for the 1,000, I could see him going into it also. I rushed the tick a little bit. If I would have took like that extra half second just to set myself, I don't think I would have had that stumble that I did. But I stumbled about halfway through, and then I think he dropped it maybe a Yoke length or 2 in front of me. And then he finished, and I was able just to finish just after him.
Yeah, I think you both slowed each other down, honestly. That pressure.
Because he said he got it. He saw when I dropped it. He said he was focusing on that, and that made him get loose, and then he dropped it.
That's pretty much what happened. So, yeah, I mean, I think for everyone watching, and that rush you get with a head-to-head, it was more fun. But I feel like, yeah, if you're both in separate lanes, you probably would I think still would have been 1 and 2, one way or the other, but would have still picked
Oh,
up
yeah.
a second or two each.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. And I like that after I share the video, everyone complains about the slide penalty, like when there was one.
Yeah, they're like, where's the slide? Like, yeah, he got a slide. I mean, that's a little far for a slide.
It was
but,
egregious.
I mean, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No one's saying any different, but it's
Yeah. No, we're all agreeing that it is a slide, but yeah.
No, I think that one was a slide. It wasn't like, oh, did he slide? It was like,
Oh, that was half the course. No.
Yeah. No, yeah, but it's going to keep growing in lore, and eventually he's going to have slid it 50 feet on a 25-foot course.
Yeah, right.
Because that's how those things go. So
he pushed the whole 1,000 the whole time, didn't he?
like a sled.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun event to watch, and it was good. So then you get 2 seconds in a row, kind of set the theme for the whole day.
Oh yeah.
Go into what was next? The deadlift was up next.
The deadlift. Yeah. Yeah. We all started hitting the deadlift. We're all moving up in the weight, and then at the end, I believe it was Sean, Claiborne, and then Oberst and I all going into 260, 860.
Mm-hmm. When they put the 4 tires on.
Yeah, 4 tires. Lynn was going to make it 850, or we could go 860 with 4 tires, and we all agreed 860 with 4 tires would just be a lot cooler. That was actually a really, really crazy event for me, because when I went to go pull the 860, whenever I pull elevated, I usually just like kind of jam my shins into the bar and throw my hips through and then pull my back up. And if I'm pulling off the ground, I kind of roll the weight into me. So what I did was I was just doing it how I normally do it, and I go to pull, and all of a sudden it maybe only moved a few inches off the ground, and then I kind of had to regather myself, and I was like, well, that's not going to happen again. So then I tried to roll it into me, and it was probably one of the most slowest pulls I've ever made, but I was able to get it just over my knees, and I sat there for a second, took a breath, and then finished the lift. And I couldn't believe I got that.
Yeah, judging by how the first pull went, it didn't seem like one of those ones that was going to get completed, but...
No, definitely not.
That was definitely a key moment in the whole show, with how tight everything was.
Yes. And then Oberst missed it, but, if he would have... that was the deciding moment for the whole thing. Like, that was where everything changed.
Yeah,
we were both like, I think we just switched. I think he had like a point on me, and then after that, I got a 1.5 points on him. Mm-hmm. And then him and I just kind of started running away at that point.
Yeah, with being consistent at the top. Then the power stairs was close.
Yep.
I think Clayton and Obi got to go. Together, which was a good run, and they set a good pace. Yep. And then, checking your run out, how are you feeling during that whole run?
Like when I first approached the weight just to warm up with it, my back was completely trashed after that deadlift.
Sure.
I go to pick up the first weight, the 425, and I'm like, how am I going to finish this thing? I could barely pick this thing up. But then I walked over to the 460, and it felt a little better. I walked up to the 500, and it felt the same. So I think it was just I wasn't warmed up or ready for it. Mm-hmm. But approaching it, I just knew that I think it was Deffenbaugh and Oberst were the only two to actually finish it so far, and it was just Sean and I going at it. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I needed to go fast if I had any chance of beating Oberst. So I just moved as fast as I could. I ran down the stairs, and it just wasn't enough. I ended up, I think it was a half a second behind Oberst for the power stairs.
Yeah, it was definitely close.
I thought I had it because I had quicker transitions than him, but he was just more consistent with each pull. Like I started slowing down on the 500, but he was just real consistent with each pull.
Yeah, I think that's the point where it pays to be, 370, 80 pounds or whatever. Is that 500 feels the same as 400, like.
Yep.
But yeah, I think I was talking to Mike about it. Mike's like, "What was he doing walking down those steps?"
No, I didn't say that. No, I was yelling at the screen.
Yeah,
because I saw how fast you were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're like, run.
I thought you had it with how fast you were going up and down.
That's what I said, I thought too, because I know that I went as fast as I could, and I went really consistent throughout. I know I had quicker transitions than him, but then if you were to time it on the camera, they're so close. It's just a stopwatch at that point.
Yeah, it's pretty much who he probably just looked at the judge a little quicker.
The only thing that could have made it a little more epic is if you were off to the side when Obi was doing like the Mariusz Pudzianowski thing with the stopwatch and like watching him go. And then as soon as you knew you lost it by half a second, just walk away shaking your head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty good.
I miss those moments. I forgot all about that. Mariusz would always be there with his own stopwatch, and he'd celebrate after. He's timing everything independently.
Yeah.
Good times. But yeah, so then it's right there. It's I think what you end up because he picked up a point, so then it's half a point going.
So now I got half a point going into the keg loads.
Mm-hmm. And that's an event we don't see, so it's hard.
No.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. To say this actually I was really happy to see keg loading because the chairman, the Illinois chairman before myself, every year would have a max keg load as one of the events for his contest. So I was really happy to see a keg load because I'm like, I've been training this for years. But we've only done it to 48 inches, not like 56 and some change, whatever this one was.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
It was high.
What was the most weight you ever did on one of those contests? I forgot. Yeah, because they had those like kegs that were like fully loaded with lead and like 500 and something pounds.
The most I ever did. I never competed as a heavyweight doing it, but the most I ever did was I think it was 430 in the contest, 430 to 48 inches. But that was like the first contest I ever did it in.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, I kind of I never did any more of those shows. But I know the most I ever saw at one of those. It was 520 to 48.
Okay, yeah.
That was I don't know if you remember Nick Leopard.
Of course, strong guy.
Yeah, Nick Leopard and Pavel Panchak. Both of them hit 520 before the 48 at that show.
Okay, yeah, because I was trying to think, because it's kind of funny. You go to these shows and then the weights start approaching. Like, I'm not sure if anyone's ever done that before because records aren't the best kept.
Much.
We end up. I think I mentioned like the women were up to like 140 or so on dumbbell, and I asked Patrick Rogers, and then I asked someone else, and I was like, hey, did this ever more than this been done in a contest? And they're like, I don't think so. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
But that's like I think it was a few weeks before. I think all of us were still trying to get like, what are the American records? Probably it's a record breaker.
I know.
None of us know what any of the records are.
Yeah.
But I know Lynn was working on it. I just think it just the communication just never happened between the Lynn and the head office.
Yeah. Plus, there's so many other things. He has to deal with. I was just talking to him, and he's like, I do all these Excel sheets with all these scenarios and how long each event's gonna take. I'm like, no one else does that. We don't run like simulated like
simulated contests.
Yeah, like you got like some program. You're gonna see how long it's gonna take 130 people to go through a weight progressive yoke walk, and you got this formula and this. I'm like, nah, that's not usually that's how it should be done, but
yeah. Well, he's a stud in his own mind for these contests. I can't say enough of how well he ran that show and all of his staff. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get into the kegs. It's a 56-inch bar. You've already done 2 straight posterior chain killer events in a row. Not to mention everything else. Then you gotta, thankfully, you're on the taller side, so there's a little less extension. But you start warming up. I think they get into like the upper 400s. Everyone, it starts to separate a bit. I think because of it, I think Oberst was going right after you. So
or I'm the last one to go because I was a half point in first.
Right. Yeah, so he's going right before you, which makes it a nicer place to be.
Especially just knowing that what I have to do, I just have to time it.
You don't even have to win the event.
But going into that, it was pretty cool because when I first loaded the first keg, I think it was only like 340, but I could really feel that I had no thoracic extension left. Like it was just when I stand up, that's all I got. Like I couldn't pick anything else up. My back was so fried from the deadlift, and then the power stairs didn't help anything either. So, but I know him and I and Claiborne all got to 500. We all hit it, and then that's when we went to 520. And then I don't know at what point in time I forgot that I was sitting in first place because when he hits the 520 or he missed the 520, for some reason in my head I'm like, I have to hit this or I'm going to lose. So that if you watch the video and after I miss it, I was so upset. And then like later on, I'm like walking by, I'm like even telling people, like they're coming up to me like, how'd you do? I'm like, oh, I took second. And then I go up to Sean DeMarimis and he's like, how'd you do? I'm like, oh, I got second. He's like, oh, Overs hit 20? I'm like, no, we both missed. He's like, yeah, you were winning. You won. I'm like, wait, what? I was just so into it, I forgot that I was in the lead going into that event.
Oh, that makes sense why you didn't do the back slap when you had it in his lap and he was missing it then, because he's like already. It's
yeah. Easy. I thought I lost.
Well, that kind of sucks.
I even went up to Rob after and I congratulated him. I kind of feel like it's because afterwards I bet he was like, "What is he talking about?"
Start packing up your bags. You're like, I'm not even staying for the second place. I'm just heading out.
You're like, what an asshole! He just congratulated me for losing.
Oh man, it was funny.
Yeah, you gotta love it. But yeah, it was close, man. I think it was a fun show. It was fun to watch. All the archives I believe are up on Flow Elite or that's what Mike and I were talking about beforehand. We're waiting for the epic YouTube video, which is you always got the best music and the best edits.
So you actually introduced me. You introduced me personally to both Rob Bailey and In This Moment. I had never listened to either of them until I started watching your videos because you set it up so well. The song starts. I'm like, what is this song? It's like I need to find this. It's a great trend. They're the best training songs.
Oh yeah. Like I really try to focus on like actually putting some pride into the video. I know a lot of guys just kind of just like here's the first video, here's the second video. Like I like to throw the transitions in. I like to try to make the music kind of match up to the lifts, stuff like that.
Yeah, and what is your YouTube channel though? So if people need to check these out.
YouTube.com / Durvgotti, DURVEGOTTI.
You got to make it difficult for everyone.
So what does that mean?
I can't just make it Dave Strongman, right?
I think you can. You actually can. I'll talk to you about it. How to get a custom URL for your YouTube channel.
Okay.
Later,
cool.
But yeah.
Because I had that URL before I even got into Strongman. So.
Yeah. I know it makes it tough. So
change it to Who is Dave Daly?
Actually, I really like that. I'm gonna do that. That's awesome.
Perfect. But
YouTube.com / Who's Dave Daly.
Yeah, just if you just search on YouTube Who's Dave, it'll pop up. Dave Daly Strongman,
Yep.
all that. You'll find the channel.
Yeah, Dave Daly Strongman. Just search that on the YouTubes, and then you'll find it.
Yeah, because they deserve some more views. They're like you said, you put some pride into it. You don't just slapstick it together like I've always done.
You guys have both seen the usual suspects, right? With Kaiser Soze.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I think of when I read that is who is Dave Daly? Who is Kaiser Soze?
You need to make a shirt that's like a spoof off of that. That would be good.
Oh, that'd be pretty. Yeah, I'll just.
I'm in. I'll buy it.
At the end of the video, at the end of one of my videos, I'll just have me limping away, and all of a sudden I start walking normally.
Yes.
That wouldn't be too far off after a strongman contest, so it definitely works.
Look, he's hurt. Just kidding.
So you have your middleweight card. You've been a top amateur heavyweight. You just showed you can, hang with, the big boys. But you don't get your heavyweight pro card.
Yeah, I seriously, like, every single year so far. So the last 3 years that I've podiumed I've gotten top 3 in the overall, and I don't know. I've gotten 2, like, in the heavyweight division each year. I've gotten first place in my weight class 2 times, and I've gotten second once.
Mm-hmm.
But I always end up getting like second or third as an overall. And I just that one little step up. It's always one little mistake I made here or there, but like it's enough to win my class, but not enough for the overall.
Sure. So,
but come November, that's definitely not going to happen.
So that's what's next for you is amateur nationals.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing Dallas, but just the quick moving events are so much better for me. I might as well just do that. Unless the Phoenix Europa, that hasn't been posted yet. If they got heavyweight pro card there, maybe I'd think about that. But
I think the Phoenix Europa is where I'd like to be seeing you compete already, is at America's Strongest Man. But
yeah, I already tried that. Didn't work.
It's okay. I did too.
Oh, did you?
I was like, hey, nope. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I was like, does this qualify me to compete? No. No, she was really nice about it.
No, yeah, I know. I'm not talking. I get it when you gotta go by the rule book, and that's how you have to have standards, and and that's the whole point of having the pro card set up is to make it so it's not like a. How did this person actually qualify? How do I qualify? It's all set in stone. You do this, you do that, you go here. But it is.
But it was pretty funny though, because
sure.
I get done winning the Open Pro show, and then someone comes up to me and is like, "Hey, what's next?" I'm like, "Amateur Nationals."
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, you and Jerry Pritchett set the precedent. You gotta make World's Strongest Man finals as an amateur. And be the first amateur to pull 1,000 pounds.
There you go.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
When they presented him with his
world record download,
they gave him his pro card at the end of the CAS, and they were like, so since Jerry Pritchett was the highest placing amateur, here's his pro card, and
and
everyone was like, like slow clapping.
Yeah, it's just crickets.
Yeah, it's definitely I get it in the process, but yeah, when you look at it outside of it, it's it's funny. But
I mean, this is my theory is that who's going to get upset? The dudes that have to go against me at nationals. I feel like they'd be better off that there's one less competitive guy going.
Sure.
And then and then you got the guys of the pros that are like, okay, well now there's potentially some more competition. So I don't know. I don't ever take easy contests. I love going to contests that I feel like I'm not necessarily going to win. I'm not going to these local shows as a heavyweight just collecting trophies. There's no point.
Yeah. Once you're
you're
at that level where you're doing nationals, the Arnold, and that's pretty much what you've been doing. It's basically competing like a pro at that point. It's just it's
like
just,
I only do nationals. I do Arnold. I did that Giants Live qualifier. I did the Mid America. I did this Mid Atlantic strongest. Like I'm not trying to. Again, like I'm not saying that I'm going to obviously win a local show outright, because there's a lot of good guys in my area.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, I just feel like I think I have a pretty good shot at winning. So I mean, I'm not going to get anything out of it.
Sure.
So what's the point?
Well, I mean, good news is Amateur Nationals is in Vegas this year, which is which I guess Iowa was pretty easy for you to travel to. But
the last 2 years have been real nice. Just drive there. It's only like a 2.5, 3 hour drive.
I guess for me, I'm saying it's nice because it's like a $60 flight from my house. But
wow,
yeah,
crazy.
I know. If I don't go, then you can give me shit because there's no reason I shouldn't. Just to hang out.
Reason
It's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't want to spend the $80 to fly there and back and take the hour-long flight. But
right.
yeah, so I'll definitely, most likely, I'll put it that way, see you there, and looking forward to seeing you compete at Nationals. It was awesome to see you compete this weekend. We talk about, check out, I urge everyone to check out your YouTube videos. Put in Strongman Dave Daly or, however.
I've actually been focusing. I mean, I still put my full contest videos on YouTube, but if you want to see like my day-to-day or week-to-week type of training or different events, my Instagram is the one I've been using a lot lately.
Sure, and that's just
if you want me to be difficult, it's the same thing. Instagram, it's I guess you could just look up it's ASC Pro _ Dave Daly.
Perfect. And yeah, and appreciate you coming on. Anything else you wanna?
Oh yeah, we're before we get off here. Yeah, we got to talk about your stone loading ability. We got to talk about the Stone of Steel.
Let's talk about it.
All right, so Martins hits. What did Martins hit that day? And then that night you decided you couldn't sleep, so you had to wake up and do a Stone of Steel, a max Stone of Steel. How did that work out?
So, this is how it originally played out in my mind. Is that I remember I think the official Stone of Steel world record is 400. That was or 405 or 410 or something along those lines. I think Dawson and someone else were the ones that did it, and that it was overseas. So then I go into the gym maybe maybe a few months after that, and I ended up putting up like 415, but it was like real short. I think it was maybe like 52. And then maybe a few weeks after, like a week or two after that, I see Martins throw up, I think it was a 460 to 56. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to see what I can do. So I put the bar at 57, and I got all the way up to 465. And then he goes, maybe 2 weeks after that, he puts up a mystery weight that I think I found out was like 510, but I don't know, who knows. But it was kind of funny too. I love the people that complain about the Stone of Steel and you can't use tacky. I use a tack cloth, and that thing sticks just as hard with tacky. Like I did 465, which is an all-time PR for any stone, concrete or whatever, and there was zero slipping. Like I can understand like reps, like constant reps, the sweat will start getting to decreasing like the tackiness of the tactile. But if you're doing like a rep or two, that thing is glued to you.
Yeah,
it's really it's very helpful. Yeah. So what's your max now then on the Stone of Steel?
I haven't tried since that day. 465 to 57 inches was the most I ever tried. I didn't after that contest. There was no, or after that after doing that, I never went back and tried to max out again.
There hasn't been a reason to.
Yeah.
But you could. I mean, if there was if the sport was bigger and there was money on the line, it could be like a Mayweather challenge, something like that. $1 million, you versus Martins. Winner takes all.
There is money on it.
We talked about Bardos messaged me, and we talked about at the Chicago Expo about doing Martins and I and whoever else wants to try to do it, but it would be a max load for money. But that was months ago, or maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. But I haven't heard anything since.
Which expo? When's the expo?
Next Saturday, the 6th, May.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think Martins is gonna make it with Worlds like a week after.
He's got Worlds coming on.
Yeah.
You say that.
That's true.
But if anyone would, he'd be like, "Oh, Martins."
Yeah, but he usually just shows up. He'll show up to that event because of the Moss wrestling going on, because it's Odd Haugen throwing the show.
Sure. Yeah, maybe. Well, we got to put it out there. Yeah, let's see if he, right before Worlds makes perfect sense. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm down for it. Yeah, I haven't trained it since that was when I put up the 465. That's the last time I touched any stone. I mean, I've just been doing the keg loading, but sure.
I mean, not that it's going to make a difference. Loading is loading, really.
Yeah, it's hip extension and all that.
So you're down for it if you want to do it next weekend?
Yeah, I just need a notice the day of so I can bring my stuff. I'm
texting Bardos right now.
Yeah, tell him to get.
Well,
bring that spacer money.
I'm his number one customer because I basically outfitted the Mike Battolino Power Center in my house. Yeah. No,
I'm and it doesn't I mean, obviously I would love to have money for it, but if there was something else going on and it I don't know, I would do just an expo or whatever. But I mean, obviously, if it's me versus Martins, I think money on the line would be really cool.
Money makes everything funner. Come on.
Absolutely.
It makes it all more fun.
With a Max Stone of Steel, I'll let you know what he says.
Awesome.
And I'm going to say # washers and things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know he mentioned it months ago, but I mean, I didn't follow up with him. I didn't keep in contact with him about it. So I didn't know if he kind of just blew the whole idea off, or after Martins, I know he kind of got hurt right before the Arnold. So I don't know if he kind of just didn't even want to bring it up because he wouldn't be there or whatever. But
yeah, plus you're kind of training for a big contest, so yeah, it's not like you're just sitting on the couch like, what's up with this Max Stone thing that we're gonna do in Chicago.
The other thing, I mean, Martins, although he's deep in Worlds prep, he also didn't he do the last couple? I mean, maybe not the 500, but the last couple with no warm up, and at the end of a competition just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
So hey, do you think he could do that? He'd be like, oh, probably. And then do you want a tacking towel? He's like, no, my mind will glue me to it, and then loaded it.
Yeah. Wow. He's a monster.
Yeah,
he's an animal.
I love Martins. He's my favorite. I after the Kaz, I talked to him about being on the podcast, and I get his number and I send him a text, and he goes, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." And then 3 months later, "Oh, I never responded, did I?" And then I go, "No, you didn't. Do you want to do it now?" "Sure, I'd love to." And then I go, "Hey, how about Saturday?" And then he texts me back another 2 months later. "Ooh, yeah, Saturday might have worked." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
He's got he has a lot of similarities with Kaz. I really think he does. He's very cerebral.
Yeah, I mean that in a good way. I'm not offended that he doesn't go on. I think it's just more fun to have our quarterly text exchange about it. It keeps it fun for me.
Back and forth. Yeah. It's yeah, right.
It's good stuff. But yeah, so appreciate you coming on again, man. Anything else you want to add? Good luck at Nationals and.
Yeah, just thanks for having me.
Yeah,
good talking about everything.
Yeah, hopefully you're healing up, resting up from the contest, and take a little bit of time off. Maybe go to the Bahamas again. Right. Again, it's ASC Pro _ Dave Daly, right, on Instagram.
Yep.
And
yep.
just and then on the YouTube, it's just I just searched the easiest way.
Dave Daly strong there.
Yeah, and then you also have on Facebook Dave Daly as well. And again, good job last weekend, and hopefully that get that card in the mail. Come November.
Oh yeah, it's going down for sure.